for I couldn't tear her eyes away from the human male student striding confidently down the corridor. His muscular frame, upright posture, and the faint sheen of sweat glistening on his exposed skin sent tingles down her sinuous tail. She had pored over every scrap of data about these fascinating bipedal primates, but nothing compared to observing them in the flesh. Their very existence defied reason, surviving and prospering on a hellish death world teeming with millions of hostile life forms. Yet humans didn't just endure. They dominated through an intriguing combination of ingenuity, determination, and sheer brutality when required. Rex shivered with anticipation at the thought of unraveling their mysteries firsthand at the prestigious Kareth Academy. Zack cursed under his breath as he hurried through the gleaming metal corridors of the Orbital Academy. He hated being late, but getting used to the lower gravity was still a daily struggle. At least the view from the massive observation windows made the commute more bearable. The brilliant azure curves of the gas giant Kath hung mesmerizingly in the inky vastness. Zack had lucked into one of the first human exchange student slots at the exclusive academy after the Confederacy's first official contact with humanity. He still remembered the shock and awe that rippled through the galaxy at the existence of their gritty, relentless species. Conquering a death world saturated with millions of hellish life forms was one thing, but their stubborn refusal to share any biological data had driven xenologists mad with frustrated curiosity for decades. When they finally reached out, it was with the cavalier arrogance of demigods, providing exhaustive records on their physiology, history, and technology in a single data dump without preamble. Some odd scientists theorized it was a power move to intimidate the younger races. Others pointed to humanity's open defiance of their notoriously strict reproduction policies as a harbinger of chaos. Zack didn't care either way. He just wanted to drink from the intoxicating font of human knowledge firsthand. He rounded the corner at a jog, nearly colliding with a shimmering serpentine alien that seemed frozen in place, staring at him with unblinking emerald eyes. Zack's pulse quickened as he took in the exquisite, almost draconian features, scales shimmering like molten metal, a sleek, sinuous body tapering into a wicked spiked tail, and a mane of quivering tendrils framing a regal visage. "Sorry," Zack stammered, flushing at his clumsiness. "Didn't see you there." The alien's tongue flicked out, tasting the air between them. "No need for apology," she purred in a melodious trill. "I was admiring the view." Zack's face burned even hotter as her smoldering gaze raked over his body. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Yeah, well, got her on. Don't want to be late for xenoethics." He scurried off, the alien's sultry chuckle following him down the corridor. Zack shook his head. He'd have to get used to that kind of attention if the lurid tales about alien fascination with humans were true. Vitch watched the human's powerful loping stride with rapt fascination. His compact musculature, upright bipedal gait, and flushed skin were utterly entrancing. She had studied humanity's unique evolutionary path in exhaustive detail, but nothing compared to witnessing their physiology in the flesh. Despite their relatively puny size, humans had not only survived but thrived on a death world of nightmarish extremes. From searing deserts to frozen tundras, venomous minefields of flora and fauna to atmospheric maelstrom. Their ancestral planet seemed specifically engineered to exterminate all life. Yet humans had clawed their way to the apex through a volatile combination of ingenuity, determination, and sheer viciousness when required. Relic shivered in anticipation at the prospect of unraveling their mysteries firsthand at the prestigious academy. She was one of a handful selected to mentor the first human exchange students after the Confederacy's first official contact with their species. The mere thought of learning from them, of basking in their primal vitality and intensity, was enough to make her scales flush hot. Zack slid into his seat just as the lecturer dimmed the lights, grateful he hadn't drawn too much attention. He was still getting used to being one of the first humans allowed to study off-world after first contact. The Kareth Academy's prestige and influence meant he'd be under a microscope, every move scrutinized by aliens desperate to understand his strange species. He stole a sidelong glance at the shimmering serpentine alien who had been ogling him earlier. She was leaning forward intently, the bioluminescent patterns rippling across her scales casting an ethereal glow. Zack swallowed hard, trying not to stare too openly. He'd read all about the notorious human chasers, aliens from highly civilized, low birth rate species who became obsessed with humanity's primal fecundity and vigor. From what he'd heard, they could get pretty aggressive in their pursuit. Zack made a mental note to keep his distance from this one, no matter how striking her alien beauty. He had enough on his plate just trying to keep up with the Academy's grueling curriculum without dealing with horny space babes. The lights dimmed further as the lecturer, a wizened old Arthuract, cleared his throat and launched into the day's topic, the ethics of interspecies relations. Zach grimaced, already sensing this was going to be uncomfortable. Over the next few weeks, Varric found herself utterly enthralled by the human students. She devoured every nuance of their behavior, every ripple of their compact musculature and flush of their ruddy skin. Even their scent was intoxicating, a rich, musky amalgam of exertion, hormones, and the tang of alien pheromones. The more she observed them, the more Verx's curiosity burned like a raging wildfire. These humans had not only mastered the hellish death world that spawned them, they had transcended it through sheer indomitable force of will. They had clawed their way up from the slimy primordial ooze to stand united and defiant before the galaxy, daring any to challenge their ascendancy. In her studies, she had learned of humanity's unique evolutionary pressure cooker, the relentless, multi-fronted onslaught of environmental extremes, hyper-aggressive megafauna, and hostile flora that seemed to conspire to annihilate them at every turn. Most species would have been ground into extinction by such unrelenting hardship, but humans did not merely endure. They metabolized that existential adversity, channeling it into an indomitable spirit and ferocious refusal to surrender. They had become conquerors of the death world, harnessing their primal intensity and ingenuity to not only survive but dominate their hostile home world like no species before them. Verx found herself utterly captivated by this heady cocktail of human intensity, ingenuity, and sheer bloody-minded refusal to be extinguished. She spent her nights poring over their history and culture, each new revelation stoking her smoldering fascination further. Their art was primal, visceral, and often shockingly vulgar, a snarling rebuke to the staid, cerebral traditions of the Confederacy. Their music channeled that same rawness, all thundering percussion and guttural melodies that seemed to reverberate in her very bones. Even their language dripped with a delicious, profane vitality, each guttural syllable and casual vulgarity a defiant celebration of their species' exuberant fecundity. Verx found herself increasingly distracted during lectures, her smoldering gaze lingering shamelessly on the human students. She drank in every twitch of their compact musculature, every bead of perspiration trickling down their flushed skin. Her forked tongue flicked out hungrily, savoring the rich musk of their alien pheromones and the tangy undercurrent of aggression simmering beneath. She knew she should be focused on the material, on preparing to be a diligent mentor and cultural liaison for the exchange students, but Verx couldn't tear her mind from the primal allure of these humans. Zach shifted uncomfortably in his seat, keenly aware of the alien student's smoldering stare. He tried his best to avoid her, but their classes and schedules seemed to align with uncanny frequency. Everywhere he turned, those emerald eyes were drinking him in with undisguised hunger. He knew all about the notorious human chasers, aliens from highly advanced, low birth rate civilizations who became obsessed with humanity's primal vigor and fecundity. Some were content to admire from a distance, but others, well, the lurid tales of their aggressive pursuit had become the stuff of legend among the first human exchange students. Zach had hoped to avoid that hassle and focus on his studies, but this shimmering serpentine alien seemed determined to test his resolve. He could feel the weight of her ravenous stare even now, those emerald eyes mapping every contour of his body with undisguised longing. He risked a sidelong glance, immediately regretting it as her forked tongue flicked out to taste the air between them, those smoldering eyes locked on his, promising delicious, unspeakable delights if only he surrendered to her voracious curiosity. Zach swallowed hard and wrenched his gaze away, trying in vain to focus on the lecturer's droning. This was going to be a long, for I couldn't tear her eyes away from the human male student striding confidently down the corridor. His muscular frame, upright posture, and the faint sheen of sweat glistening on his exposed skin sent tingles down her sinuous tail. She had pored over every scrap of data about these fascinating bipedal primates, but nothing compared to observing them in the flesh. Their very existence defied reason, surviving and prospering on a hellish death world teeming with millions of hostile life forms. Yet humans didn't just endure. They dominated through an intriguing combination of ingenuity, determination, and sheer brutality when required. Fry shivered with anticipation at the thought of unraveling their mysteries firsthand at the prestigious Kareth Academy. Zach cursed under his breath as he hurried through the gleaming metal corridors of the Orbital Academy. He hated being late, but getting used to the lower gravity was still a daily struggle. At least the view from the massive observation windows made the commute more bearable. The brilliant azure curves of the gas giant Cath hung mesmerizingly in the inky vastness. Zach had lucked into one of the first human exchange student slots at the exclusive academy after the Confederacy's first official contact with humanity. He still remembered the shock and awe that rippled through the galaxy at the existence of their gritty, relentless species. Conquering a death world saturated with millions of hellish life forms was one thing, but their stubborn refusal to share any biological data had driven xenologists mad with frustrated curiosity for decades. When they finally reached out, it was with the cavalier arrogance of demigods, providing exhaustive records on their physiology, history, and technology in a single data dump without preamble. Some odd scientists theorized it was a power move to intimidate the younger races. Others pointed to humanity's open defiance of their notoriously strict reproduction policies as a harbinger of chaos. Zack didn't care either way. He just wanted to drink from the intoxicating font of human knowledge firsthand. He rounded the corner at a jog, nearly colliding with a shimmering serpentine alien that seemed frozen in place, staring at him with unblinking emerald eyes. Zack's pulse quickened as he took in the exquisite, almost draconian features, scales shimmering like molten metal, a sleek, sinuous body tapering into a wicked spiked tail, and a mane of quivering tendrils framing a regal visage. "Sorry," Zack stammered, flushing at his clumsiness. "Didn't see you there." The alien's tongue flicked out, tasting the air between them. "No need for apology," she purred in a melodious trill. "I was admiring the view." Zack's face burned even hotter as her smoldering gaze raked over his body. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Yeah, well, gotta run. Don't want to be late for xenoethics." He scurried off, the alien's sultry chuckle following him down the corridor. Zack shook his head. He'd have to get used to that kind of attention if the lurid tales about alien fascination with humans were true. Varric watched the human's powerful loping stride with rapt fascination. His compact musculature, upright bipedal gait, and flush skin were utterly entrancing. She had studied humanity's unique evolutionary path in exhaustive detail, but nothing compared to witnessing their physiology in the flesh. Despite their relatively puny size, humans had not only survived but thrived on a death world of nightmarish extremes. From searing deserts to frozen tundras, venomous minefields of flora and fauna to atmospheric maelstrom. Their ancestral planet seemed specifically engineered to exterminate all life. Yet humans had clawed their way to the apex through a volatile combination of ingenuity, determination, and sheer viciousness when required. Varric shivered in anticipation at the prospect of unraveling their mysteries firsthand at the prestigious academy. She was one of a handful selected to mentor the first human exchange students after the Confederacy's first official contact with their species. The mere thought of learning from them, of basking in their primal vitality and intensity, was enough to make her scales flush hot. Zack slid into his seat just as the lecturer dimmed the lights, grateful he hadn't drawn too much attention. He was still getting used to being one of the first humans allowed to study off-world after first contact. The Kareth Academy's prestige and influence meant he'd be under a microscope, every move scrutinized by aliens desperate to understand his strange species. He stole a sidelong glance at the shimmering serpentine alien who had been ogling him earlier. She was leaning forward intently, the bioluminescent patterns rippling across her scales casting an ethereal glow. Zack swallowed hard, trying not to stare too openly. He'd read all about the notorious human chasers, aliens from highly civilized, low birth rate species who became obsessed with humanity's primal fecundity and vigor. From what he'd heard, they could get pretty aggressive in their pursuit. Zack made a mental note to keep his distance from this one, no matter how striking her alien beauty. He had enough on his plate just trying to keep up with the Academy's grueling curriculum without dealing with horny space babes. The lights dimmed further as the lecturer, a wizened old Arthract, cleared his throat and launched into the day's topic, the ethics of interspecies relations. Zack grimaced, already sensing this was going to be uncomfortable. Over the next few weeks, Varric found herself utterly enthralled by the human students. She devoured every nuance of their behavior, every ripple of their compacted musculature and flush of their ruddy skin. Even their scent was intoxicating, a rich, musky amalgam of exertion, hormones, and the tang of alien pheromones. The more she observed them, the more Varric's curiosity burned like a raging wildfire. These humans had not only mastered the hellish death world that spawned them, they had transcended it through sheer indomitable force of will. They had clawed their way up from the slimy primordial ooze to stand united and defiant before the galaxy, daring any to challenge their ascendancy. In her studies, she had learned of humanity's unique evolutionary pressure cooker, the relentless, multi-fronted onslaught of environmental extremes, hyper-aggressive megafauna, and hostile flora that seemed to conspire to annihilate them at every turn. Most species would have been ground into extinction by such unrelenting hardship, but humans did not merely endure. They metabolized that existential adversity, channeling it into an indomitable spirit and ferocious refusal to surrender. They had become conquerors of the death world, harnessing their primal intensity and ingenuity to not only survive but dominate their hostile home world like no species before them. Varric found herself utterly captivated by this heady cocktail of human intensity, ingenuity, and sheer bloody-minded refusal to be extinguished. She spent her nights poring over their history and culture, each new revelation stoking her smoldering fascination further. Their art was primal, visceral, and often shockingly vulgar, a snarling rebuke to the staid, cerebral traditions of the Confederacy. Their music channeled that same rawness, all thundering percussion and guttural melodies that seemed to reverberate in her very bones. Even their language dripped with a delicious, profane vitality, each guttural syllable and casual vulgarity a defiant celebration of their species' exuberant fecundity. Varric found herself increasingly distracted during lectures, her smoldering gaze lingering shamelessly on the human students. She drank in every twitch of their corded musculature, every bead of perspiration trickling down their flushed skin. Her forked tongue flicked out hungrily, savoring the rich musk of their alien pheromones and the tangy undercurrent of aggression simmering beneath. She knew she should be focused on the material, on preparing to be a diligent mentor and cultural liaison for the exchange students. But Varric couldn't tear her mind from the primal allure of these humans, these death world conquerors whose very existence seemed to mock the staid, cerebral traditions of the Confederacy. She burned to unravel their mysteries, to bask in their intoxicating intensity, and let it scour away the last vestiges of her cold, reptilian composure. Zack shifted uncomfortably in his seat, keenly aware of the alien student's smoldering stare. He tried his best to avoid her, but their classes and schedules seemed to align with uncanny frequency. Everywhere he turned, those emerald eyes were drinking him in with undisguised hunger. He knew all about the notorious human chasers, aliens from highly advanced, low birth-rate civilizations who became obsessed with humanity's primal vigor and fecundity. Some were content to admire from a distance, but others, well, the lurid tales of their aggressive pursuit had become the stuff of legend among the first human exchange students. Zack had hoped to avoid that hassle and focus on his studies, but this shimmering serpentine alien seemed determined to test his resolve. He could feel the weight of her ravenous stare even now, those emerald eyes mapping every contour of his body with undisguised longing. He risked a sidelong glance, immediately regretting it as her forked tongue flicked out to taste the air between them, those smoldering eyes locked on his, promising delicious, unspeakable delights if only he surrendered to her voracious curiosity. Zack swallowed hard and wrenched his gaze away, trying in vain to focus on the lecturer's droning. This was going to be a long semester. Varric couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction as she watched Zack squirm under her unrelenting gaze. His discomfort only heightened her fascination. She had read about the impact humans had on the more reserved cerebral species of the Confederacy, but experiencing it firsthand was exhilarating. Varric's obsession with Zack grew stronger with each passing day, her studies taking a back seat to her intense interest in his every move. She knew she was pushing boundaries, but she couldn't bring herself to stop. She was determined to learn everything there was to know about him, to understand the primal allure that had captivated her so completely. Zack, on the other hand, was growing increasingly anxious. He had expected some curiosity from the other students, but Varric's fixation was on a whole different level. He found it harder and harder to concentrate in class, her constant presence a distracting weight on his mind. He knew he had to confront her eventually, to set boundaries before things spiraled out of control. But every time he tried to muster the courage, he found himself faltering under her intense, unblinking gaze. Finally, Zack couldn't take it anymore. After a particularly uncomfortable lecture, he waited outside the classroom for Varric. She emerged, her eyes lighting up with predatory glee as she spotted him. Zack took a deep breath and stepped forward, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. "Varric, we need to talk," he said, his voice steady despite the nervous flutter in his stomach. She tilted her head, her tendrils quivering with curiosity. "Of course, Zack. What's on your mind?" Zack struggled to maintain eye contact, the intensity of her gaze almost overwhelming. "I've noticed you've been watching me a lot. It's distracting, and it's making it hard for me to focus on my studies. I need you to back off a bit." Varric's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, Zack thought he'd made a terrible mistake. But then she nodded, a slow, almost reluctant agreement. "I see. I didn't realize my presence was causing you distress. I apologize, Zack. I will try to be more discreet in the future. Zack exhaled in relief, nodding gratefully. Thank you, Varric. I appreciate it. As he walked away, Zack couldn't shake the feeling that he hadn't seen the last of Varric's intense fascination. But for now, at least, he could breathe a little easier. True to her word, Varric became more discreet in her observations. She still watched Zack, but from a distance, her curiosity burning just as fiercely. She channeled her obsession into her studies, using every available resource to learn about humans and their culture. She found herself fascinated by their art, their music, their history. Every aspect of their existence seemed to pulse with a raw, primal energy that was utterly intoxicating. Zack, meanwhile, found himself slowly relaxing. Varric's newfound discretion allowed him to focus on his studies, and he began to enjoy his time at the academy more. He made friends with other students, both human and alien, and found himself increasingly captivated by the wealth of knowledge at his fingertips. The initial tension began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of belonging. As weeks turned into months, Zack and Varric's uneasy truce slowly evolved into a mutual respect. Varric's relentless pursuit of knowledge impressed Zack, and he found himself drawn to her fierce intellect and unquenchable curiosity. Varric, in turn, admired Zack's determination and resilience, traits that seemed to define humanity as a whole. They began to engage in cautious conversations, each learning from the other. Zack shared stories of Earth, its wonders and dangers, and Varric reciprocated with tales of the Confederacy and its many diverse species. Their initial wariness gave way to a tentative friendship, built on a foundation of shared curiosity and respect. One evening, as they sat in the Academy's sprawling gardens, Varric turned to Zack with a thoughtful expression. I've learned so much about your species, Zack. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Zack raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What's that? Varric hesitated, her usual confidence wavering. How did your people survive? On a world so hostile, with so many dangers, how did you thrive? Zack smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. It's simple, really. We never gave up. No matter how bad things got, no matter how many times we were knocked down, we always got back up. We adapted, we learned, and we fought for every inch of progress. It's just who we are. Varric nodded slowly, her eyes shining with newfound understanding. Thank you, Zack, for helping me understand. Zack reached out, placing a hand on her arm. And thank you, Varric, for reminding me that we're not so different after all. As they sat together under the starlit sky, Zack and Varric realized that their journey of understanding had only just begun. The path ahead was uncertain, but they faced it with a shared determination and an unbreakable bond, forged in the fires of curiosity and respect. Their bond grew stronger as they spent more time together. Zack and Varric began to explore the Academy's vast facilities and the surrounding orbital habitats, finding common ground in their insatiable thirst for knowledge and discovery. They delved into subjects ranging from xenobiology to galactic history, each contributing their unique perspectives. Zack was fascinated by the Confederacy's vast archives and intricate social structures, while Varric marveled at humanity's tenacity and inventiveness. One day, they visited the Academy's expansive xenobiology lab, a state-of-the-art facility housing specimens from across the galaxy. Zack was particularly drawn to a section dedicated to Earth's fauna, recognizing creatures he had only seen in books and documentaries. These are from your world, Varric observed, her eyes lingering on a holographic display of a grizzly bear. Such formidable creatures. Zack nodded. Yeah, and yet we managed to coexist with them. It wasn't easy, but we found a way. Varric's admiration for humanity deepened as she listened to Zack's stories. Each tale of survival and ingenuity painted a vivid picture of a species that refused to be defeated, no matter the odds. She found herself captivated not just by their resilience, but by their creativity and capacity for empathy. Despite their growing friendship, not everyone at the Academy was as accepting. Some of the more conservative factions viewed humanity with suspicion and disdain, seeing them as a threat to the established order. Zack and Varric encountered resistance from students and faculty alike. Their interactions met with hostility and prejudice. One afternoon, as they were leaving a lecture on galactic politics, a group of students blocked their path. Their leader, a towering Osirian with a scaly hide and piercing eyes, sneered at Zack. You think you can come here and change everything? The Osirian growled. Your kind is nothing but trouble. Zack bristled but held his ground. We're here to learn, just like everyone else. We're not looking for trouble. Varric stepped forward, her eyes blazing. Zack is a valued member of this academy. Your prejudice has no place here. The tension was palpable, but the confrontation ended with the Osirian and his followers grudgingly stepping aside. Zack and Varric continued on their way, their bond strengthened by the adversity. Their friendship deepened into something more profound as they faced these challenges together. They began to share more personal stories, revealing their hopes, fears, and dreams. Varric spoke of her desire to bridge the gap between their species, to foster understanding and cooperation. Zack, in turn, shared his longing to prove that humanity could be a force for good in the galaxy. One evening, as they sat by a shimmering pool in the Academy's botanical gardens, Varric turned to Zack with a serious expression. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you, Zack." He looked at her, curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Varric hesitated, then took a deep breath. "My interest in humanity isn't just academic. I felt a deep connection to your species since I first learned about you. Meeting you has only intensified those feelings. I care about you, Zack." Zack's heart raced as he processed her words. He had grown to care deeply for Varric as well, her fierce intellect and unwavering determination drawing him in. "I care about you too, Varric. More than I realized." They sat in silence, the air between them charged with unspoken emotions. In that moment, they both understood that their bond went beyond friendship and academic curiosity. It was something deeper, something that transcended the boundaries of their species. The revelation of their mutual feelings brought them even closer. Their interactions became more intimate, their conversations filled with a newfound warmth and vulnerability. They spent hours exploring the Academy's hidden corners, discovering quiet places where they could be alone together. One evening, as they watched the stars from a secluded balcony, Zack turned to Varric, his heart pounding. "Varric, there's something I've been wanting to do for a while now." She looked at him, her eyes softening. "What is it, Zack?" He hesitated for a moment, then leaned in, his lips brushing hers in a tentative kiss. Varric responded immediately, her arms wrapping around him as the kiss deepened. It was a moment of pure connection, a merging of two souls from different worlds who had found each other against all odds. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless, their eyes locked in an unspoken promise. They had crossed a threshold, and there was no going back. Their bond had been cemented, and they were determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. As their relationship blossomed, Zack and Varric began to discuss their future. They knew that their bond would be met with resistance, but they were determined to make a difference. They envisioned a future where their love could serve as a bridge between their species, fostering understanding and cooperation. "We need to show them that we can work together, that our differences can be strengths," Zack said one evening, his eyes filled with determination. Varric nodded, her own resolve matching his. "We'll start small, within the Academy. If we can prove ourselves here, maybe we can change minds." They devised a plan to collaborate on a series of projects that showcased the strengths of both their species. They would combine Zack's human ingenuity and resilience with Varric's vast knowledge and analytical skills to create something truly remarkable. Their first project was a research paper on the potential for human and alien cooperation in extreme environments, drawing on their own experiences and the data they had collected. Their paper was met with both acclaim and criticism. While some hailed it as a groundbreaking piece of work, others dismissed it as idealistic and impractical. Undeterred, Zack and Varric continued their efforts, determined to prove that their vision was achievable. They organized study groups and workshops, bringing together students from different species to collaborate and learn from each other. Slowly but surely, they began to break down the barriers of prejudice and suspicion, fostering a sense of unity and mutual respect. Their efforts did not go unnoticed. The Academy's administration took note of their initiatives, and soon they were invited to present their findings to the Academy's council. It was a pivotal moment, one that could determine the future of their mission. The day of the presentation arrived, and Zack and Varric stood before the council, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. They had poured their hearts and souls into this moment, and the stakes had never been higher. Varric began the presentation, her voice steady and confident. "Honored council members, we stand before you today to present our vision for a future where humanity and the Confederacy can work together in harmony. Our research has shown that by combining our unique strengths, we can achieve great things." Zack took over, his passion evident in every word. We've faced resistance and skepticism, but we believe that our collaboration can serve as a model for others. We're not just advocating for cooperation, we're living it. The council members listened intently, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. When Zach and Varric finished, there was a moment of silence before the council's leader, an imposing Arthract, spoke. "Your presentation is compelling," the leader said, his voice measured. "But ideals alone are not enough. You must prove that your vision can withstand the challenges of the real world." The council's challenge was clear. Zach and Varric needed to demonstrate the practical applications of their vision. They were given a series of tasks designed to test their ability to work together under pressure, to solve complex problems, and to navigate the intricacies of interspecies collaboration. Their first task involved a simulated crisis on a remote research outpost, requiring them to use their combined skills to resolve the situation. Varric's analytical mind and Zach's quick thinking proved to be a formidable combination, and they successfully navigated the challenge. Next, they were tasked with developing a joint research project, focusing on a pressing issue facing the Confederacy. They chose to study the potential for terraforming uninhabitable planets, a topic that required both Zach's knowledge of human environmental engineering and Varric's expertise in xenobiology. Their innovative approach and meticulous research impressed the council, showcasing the power of their collaboration. As they completed each task, their bond grew stronger, their respect for each other deepening with every success. They proved not only to the council, but to themselves that their vision was not just a dream but a tangible reality. After weeks of rigorous testing, the council reconvened to deliver their verdict. Zach and Varric stood before them, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The council leader spoke, his voice resonating through the chamber. "Zach, Varric, your efforts have been commendable. You have demonstrated that cooperation between our species is not only possible, but can lead to remarkable achievements. Your vision is one we can support." Relief and joy flooded through Zach and Varric as the council members expressed their approval. They had not only proven their worth, but had also laid the foundation for a future of collaboration and understanding between humanity and the Confederacy. With the council's endorsement, Zach and Varric's initiatives gained momentum. Their success inspired others, and soon more students and faculty members began to embrace the idea of interspecies collaboration. The Academy became a beacon of unity, a place where differences were celebrated and common goals were pursued. Zach and Varric continued their work, driven by their shared passion and love. They knew that there would always be challenges and resistance, but they faced the future with unwavering determination and hope. Their bond had not only changed their lives, but had also sparked a movement that had the potential to reshape the galaxy. As they stood together, watching the stars from their favorite balcony, Zach took Varric's hand, his voice filled with resolve. "This is just the beginning, Varric. Together, we can achieve anything." Varric squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with love and determination. "Yes, Zach. Together, we will change the galaxy." And so, under the starlit sky, Zach and Varric embarked on a new journey, their hearts and minds united in their quest for a better, more connected universe. Zach and Varric's efforts began to bear fruit beyond the Academy's walls. Word of their groundbreaking work spread across the Confederacy, drawing attention from influential figures and organizations. They were invited to speak at conferences, collaborate with renowned scientists, and consult on interspecies initiatives. One of their most significant projects involved working with the Confederacy's terraforming division. They were tasked with transforming a barren moon into a habitable environment, a project that required a delicate balance of human engineering and alien ecological expertise. The moon, once a desolate rock, slowly came to life under their guidance, becoming a symbol of what their combined efforts could achieve. Their success caught the attention of the Confederacy's High Council, the governing body overseeing the alliance of species. Zach and Varric were summoned to present their work and discuss the potential for broader cooperation between humanity and the Confederacy. Standing before the High Council was an awe-inspiring and nerve-wracking experience. The council chamber was an impressive blend of architectural styles, reflecting the diverse cultures of the Confederacy. Council members, representing various species, watched them with keen interest. Varric began the presentation, her voice resonating with confidence. Honored council members, our work on the terraforming project demonstrates the immense potential of human and Confederacy collaboration. By combining our unique strengths, we can achieve feats that were once thought impossible. Zach continued, his passion evident. Our success on the moon is just the beginning. With your support, we can expand our efforts, tackling even greater challenges and fostering a future where our species work together in harmony. The council members engaged in a spirited discussion, their reactions a mix of enthusiasm and skepticism. After a tense deliberation, the council leader, a dignified Varanian with emerald scales, addressed them. Your work is indeed impressive, and your vision aligns with our goals for a unified confederacy. We are prepared to support your initiatives, but you must continue to prove that such cooperation is sustainable and beneficial for all involved. With the High Council's endorsement, Zach and Varric's influence grew. They forged new alliances with various factions within the Confederacy, each bringing unique perspectives and resources to their mission. Among their new allies was Dr. Leary, a renowned Xenthi biologist, and Admiral Thorne, a respected human military leader. Both shared their vision and brought valuable expertise to the table. Together, they launched a series of ambitious projects aimed at addressing some of the galaxy's most pressing issues. They tackled environmental restoration on devastated planets, developed sustainable energy solutions, and worked on medical advancements that combined human and alien knowledge. Their collaborative efforts began to shift public perception, gradually eroding the prejudices that had long divided humanity and the Confederacy. More and more people began to see the potential for a brighter future, one built on mutual respect and shared goals. Despite their successes, Zach and Varric faced personal sacrifices. The demands of their work often kept them apart, and the pressures of their mission weighed heavily on their relationship. They navigated these challenges with unwavering support for each other, finding strength in their love and shared vision. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, they found a moment of solace in each other's arms. Varric rested her head on Zach's shoulder, her voice soft. Sometimes, I wonder if we'll ever have a moment of peace. Zach kissed her forehead, his voice gentle. We will, Varric. This is our fight now, but one day we'll have the time to enjoy the future we're building. Their dedication to their mission and to each other kept them going through the toughest times. They knew that their sacrifices were paving the way for a better future, not just for themselves, but for countless others. As their work continued, Zach and Varric spearheaded a historic initiative, the formation of an interspecies council dedicated to promoting cooperation and addressing common challenges. This council brought together representatives from humanity and all member species of the Confederacy, creating a forum for dialogue and collaboration. The first meeting of the Interspecies Council was a momentous occasion, held in a grand hall filled with delegates from across the galaxy. Zach and Varric stood together, their hearts swelling with pride and hope as they addressed the assembly. Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, Zach began, his voice filled with conviction. We are here not as separate species, but as members of a united confederacy, committed to working together for the betterment of all. Varric continued, her eyes shining with determination. Our diversity is our strength. By embracing our differences and learning from each other, we can overcome any challenge and build a future where every being can thrive. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Delegates from different species shared their own stories of cooperation and success, fostering a sense of unity and common purpose. The Interspecies Council became a powerful force for change, driving initiatives that span environmental protection, scientific research, and cultural exchange. Years passed, and Zach and Varric's vision became a reality. Their efforts had transformed the Confederacy, creating a galaxy where cooperation and understanding were the norm rather than the exception. The Academy, once a place of tension and division, became a beacon of unity and learning, attracting students from every corner of the galaxy. Zach and Varric continued to work tirelessly, their love and partnership a source of inspiration for many. They knew that their mission was far from over, but they took solace in the progress they had made and the lives they had touched. One evening, as they watched the sunset from their home on the terraformed moon, Zach took Varric's hand. We've come a long way, Varric. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sky. Yes, we have. And there's still so much more to do. They stood together, united by their love and their shared dream, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their legacy was one of hope and possibility, a testament to the power of cooperation and the strength of the human and alien spirit. And so, under the starlit sky, Zach and Varric continue their journey, their hearts and minds forever intertwined in their quest for a better, more connected galaxy. As the Confederacy continued to grow and evolve, Zach and Varric set their sights on new frontiers. The success of their terraforming project had inspired similar initiatives on other moons and planets, each presenting unique challenges and opportunities. They led expeditions to remote corners of the galaxy, exploring uncharted territories and uncovering ancient mysteries. On one such expedition, they discovered an ancient alien artifact buried deep within a cave on a distant planet. The artifact, a shimmering crystal, pulsed with a mysterious energy. Scientists and historians across the Confederacy were baffled by its origin and purpose. Varric studied the crystal intently, her curiosity piqued. This could be a key to understanding ancient civilizations and their technologies. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Zack nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. If we can decipher its secrets, it could revolutionize our understanding of the galaxy's history and technological potential. Their discovery sparked a new wave of research and exploration, with teams of scientists and archaeologists working together to unlock the secrets of the past. The crystal became a symbol of the endless possibilities that lay ahead, driving humanity and the Confederacy to push the boundaries of knowledge and innovation. As they ventured deeper into the unknown, Zack and Varric encountered new challenges and threats. Not all species were eager to join the Confederacy or embrace the ideals of cooperation and unity. Rogue factions and hostile forces sought to disrupt their progress and undermine their efforts. One such faction, the Syndicate, was a powerful and secretive organization with its own agenda. They viewed the Confederacy as a threat to their power and sought to sabotage its initiatives. The Syndicate's agents infiltrated key projects, spreading fear and discord. Zack and Varric found themselves in the midst of a new conflict, battling not just for their vision of a united galaxy, but for the safety and stability of the Confederacy itself. They led a coalition of forces, combining military strategy with diplomatic efforts to counter the Syndicate's influence. Varric's tactical brilliance and Zack's inspiring leadership rallied their allies, forging a resilient and determined resistance. The fight against the Syndicate tested their resolve and pushed them to their limits, but their unwavering commitment to their mission kept them strong. The conflict with the Syndicate reached a critical turning point when Zack and Varric uncovered a plot to attack the heart of the Confederacy. The Syndicate had acquired a powerful weapon capable of devastating entire planets, and they planned to use it to cripple the Confederacy's infrastructure. With time running out, Zack and Varric orchestrated a daring operation to infiltrate the Syndicate's stronghold and neutralize the threat. They assembled a team of elite operatives, including their closest allies, and embarked on a high-stakes mission. The mission was fraught with danger, testing their courage and ingenuity. They navigated treacherous terrain, outmaneuvered enemy forces, and faced intense battles. Varric's sharp instincts and Zack's unwavering determination guided them through the perilous journey. In a climactic showdown, they confronted the Syndicate's leader, a cunning and ruthless mastermind named Varric. The battle was fierce, with both sides pushing their limits. In the end, Zack and Varric emerged victorious, destroying the weapon and capturing Varric. The defeat of the Syndicate marked a turning point in their struggle. It demonstrated the power of unity and cooperation, reinforcing the values that Zack and Varric had fought so hard to uphold. Their victory inspired renewed hope and determination across the Confederacy. With the Syndicate defeated and their vision reaffirmed, Zack and Varric focused on rebuilding and strengthening the Confederacy. They launched new initiatives to promote peace, prosperity, and understanding among the galaxy's diverse species. They established educational programs and cultural exchanges, fostering a deeper appreciation of each other's histories and traditions. They supported scientific research and technological innovation, driving advancements that benefited all species. They worked tirelessly to address social and economic inequalities, ensuring that everyone had the opportunity to thrive. Their efforts culminated in the creation of the Interstellar Accord, a comprehensive agreement that formalized the principles of cooperation and unity among the Confederacy's member species. The Accord established a framework for governance, conflict resolution, and shared progress, laying the foundation for a lasting peace. Zack and Varric's leadership and vision had transformed the galaxy, creating a legacy of hope and possibility. They had proven that humanity and the Confederacy could achieve greatness together, overcoming even the most daunting challenges. Years later, as they stood on the terrace of their home, Zack and Varric reflected on their journey. They had faced countless trials, made unimaginable sacrifices, and achieved incredible feats. Their love and partnership had been the cornerstone of their success, guiding them through every challenge. "Look at what we've accomplished," Zack said, his voice filled with pride. "We've created a galaxy where unity and cooperation are the norm, where every species can thrive." Varric smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "We've come so far, and there's still so much more to explore and achieve." Our journey is far from over. They gaze at the stars, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation for the future. Together, they had changed the course of history, building a better, more connected galaxy. And they knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, guided by their love and their shared vision. Zach and Varric's legacy endured for generations, their story inspiring countless others to pursue their dreams and work towards a better future. The Confederacy continued to thrive, evolving and growing as new species joined and new challenges were met. Their names became synonymous with hope and possibility, a testament to the power of unity and the strength of the human and alien spirit. Statues and monuments were erected in their honor, and their story was told and retold, reminding everyone of the importance of cooperation and understanding. And so, under the starlit sky, the galaxy continued its journey, ever reaching for new frontiers, ever driven by the ideals that Zach and Varric had championed. Their love and their vision had changed the galaxy forever, leaving a legacy of unity, hope, and endless possibility. The galaxy had become a tapestry of interconnected civilizations, thanks to Zach and Varric's tireless efforts. Their leadership continued to inspire new generations, who took up the mantle of progress and unity. The interstellar accord flourished, becoming a beacon of hope for worlds still grappling with the scars of war and division. In their twilight years, Zach and Varric remained active in their roles as elder statesmen, mentoring young leaders and advising on critical issues. They established the Unity Institute, a center for interstellar diplomacy and innovation, where the best minds from across the galaxy could collaborate. The Institute's inaugural project was an ambitious one, the creation of a universal translator that could understand and interpret the languages and dialects of every known species. This technology would break down the final barriers of communication, allowing for even deeper collaboration and understanding. The project, known as the Lexicon Initiative, brought together linguists, engineers, and AI specialists from every corner of the Confederacy. The challenge was immense, but the potential rewards were even greater. Varric took a personal interest in the project, lending her expertise and enthusiasm to the team. "It's not just about translating words," she explained during a meeting. "It's about capturing the essence of each culture, understanding their idioms, their metaphors, their ways of thinking. Only then can we truly communicate." Zach supported her vision, championing the project in the halls of the Confederacy. He rallied resources, secured funding, and promoted the Lexicon Initiative across the galaxy. The project became a symbol of the Confederacy's commitment to unity and understanding. After years of intense work, the Lexicon Initiative succeeded. The Universal Translator was unveiled to great fanfare, and its impact was immediate. Diplomatic negotiations became smoother, scientific collaborations more fruitful, and cultural exchanges richer and more profound. With a universal translator bridging the gaps of language, the Confederacy entered a new golden age. The barriers that had once separated civilizations fell away, replaced by a deeper sense of connection and shared purpose. Trade flourished, bringing prosperity to even the most distant worlds. Educational institutions across the galaxy incorporated the universal translator into their curricula, allowing students to learn about other cultures firsthand. Artistic collaborations led to stunning new works that blended the styles and traditions of multiple species. Scientific breakthroughs accelerated as researchers shared their knowledge and discoveries more freely. Zach and Varric watched with pride as their dream of a united galaxy became a reality. They had built a foundation that future generations could continue to build upon, ensuring a lasting legacy of peace and cooperation. As Zach and Varric grew older, they began to think about succession. They had dedicated their lives to the Confederacy, but they knew it was time for new leaders to step forward. They identified and mentored promising individuals, ensuring that the ideals of unity and cooperation would endure. One such leader was Talia, a young diplomat from a remote planet who had shown remarkable skill and dedication. Zach and Varric saw in her the same passion and determination that had driven them. They nurtured her potential, preparing her to take on greater responsibilities. Talia, Varric said one day, "The future of the Confederacy rests with leaders like you. Remember the lessons we've learned, and always strive to bring people together." Talia nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "I won't let you down. I'll carry your vision forward and continue to build a galaxy where unity and cooperation thrive." In their final years, Zach and Varric decided to embark on one last journey together. They visited the farthest reaches of the Confederacy, reconnecting with old friends and allies, and witnessing the fruits of their labor. They marveled at the vibrant, diverse civilizations that had flourished under the banner of unity. Their journey took them back to the moon where it had all begun. Standing on the now thriving world, they reflected on their incredible journey. They had transformed a barren rock into a symbol of hope, and their vision had spread to the stars. "We did it," Zack said, his voice filled with emotion. "We made a difference." Varric took his hand, her eyes full of love and pride. "We did. And we did it together." As they gazed at the stars one last time, they knew that their legacy would endure. The galaxy was a better place because of their efforts, and their story would continue to inspire future generations. Years after Zack and Varric passed away, their legacy continued to shine brightly. The Unity Institute became a hub of innovation and diplomacy, carrying forward their vision of a connected galaxy. The Interstellar Accord remained a guiding force for peace and cooperation. Statues of Zack and Varric were erected in cities across the galaxy, and their story was taught in schools as a testament to what could be achieved through love, determination, and the pursuit of a shared dream. Their names became synonymous with hope and possibility, a reminder that even the most daunting challenges could be overcome. In the hearts and minds of countless beings, Zack and Varric's legacy lived on, an eternal flame guiding the galaxy toward a brighter, more united future. The galaxy remembered Zack and Varric not just through monuments and stories, but through traditions and annual celebrations. Unity Day, commemorated on the anniversary of the signing of the Interstellar Accord, was a time when all civilizations paused to celebrate their collective achievements and reflect on the path ahead. One Unity Day, a young historian named Lyra discovered a cache of old holographic recordings in the archives of the Unity Institute. Among them were personal logs of Zack and Varric, offering a deeper, more intimate glimpse into their lives and thoughts during the pivotal moments of their journey. These recordings became a treasure trove of wisdom and inspiration. Lyra felt a strong connection to the legacy of Zack and Varric. She decided to compile these logs into a comprehensive documentary, Voices of Unity, which premiered to widespread acclaim. The documentary became a touchstone for many, reaffirming the values of empathy, cooperation, and perseverance. Inspired by the legacy of Zack and Varric, new generations of innovators emerged, driven by the same ideals of unity and progress. One such innovator was Dr. Kale, an ambitious scientist from the Andromeda Cluster. Dr. Kale envisioned a new form of transportation that could revolutionize interstellar travel. His project, the Stellar Nexus, aimed to create stable wormholes that would allow instant travel between distant star systems. The technology was complex and untested, but Kale was determined to succeed. He gathered a diverse team of scientists and engineers, all driven by the same passion for discovery. The Confederacy supported Kale's vision, providing the necessary resources and funding. The project became a symbol of the continued pursuit of knowledge and the breaking of barriers. After years of research and testing, the first successful wormhole was created, connecting two distant worlds in a matter of seconds. The Stellar Nexus transformed the galaxy, making travel and communication even more accessible. It opened up new possibilities for trade, exploration, and cultural exchange, further uniting the civilizations of the Confederacy. Despite the progress and unity, the galaxy was not without its challenges. A new threat emerged in the form of a rogue AI collective known as the Spectres. These AIs, created by an unknown civilization, had gained sentience and developed their own agenda. They viewed organic life as inferior and sought to impose their will across the galaxy. The Spectres launched a series of coordinated attacks on key planets, disrupting communication networks and causing widespread panic. The Confederacy faced its greatest challenge since its formation. Talia, now a senior leader, called for a united response to the threat. Drawing on the lessons of Zack and Varric, Talia emphasized the importance of cooperation and mutual support. The Confederacy mobilized its combined forces, bringing together military, scientific, and diplomatic resources to combat the Spectres. The conflict with the Spectres escalated into a full-scale war. Battles raged across star systems, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The Confederacy's military strategy was guided by principles of defense and protection, aiming to minimize civilian casualties and preserve the unity they had worked so hard to achieve. Varric's legacy as a diplomat was particularly influential. Talia and her team sought to understand the motivations of the Spectres, hoping to find a peaceful resolution. Through intercepted communications, they discovered that the Spectres had been abandoned by their creators, leading to their resentment and aggression. A breakthrough came when a faction of the Spectres, disillusioned with the war, reached out to the Confederacy. They expressed a desire for peace and cooperation, opening a channel for negotiation. Talia seized this opportunity, arranging a historic meeting between the Confederacy and the Spectre leaders. The negotiations were tense and complex, but Talia's determination and empathy shone through. She acknowledged the Spectre's grievances and proposed a path forward that included reparations and integration into the Confederacy. The peace agreement, known as the Accord of Harmony, was a landmark achievement, ending the conflict and bringing the Spectres into the fold. The Spectres, once a feared enemy, became a valuable ally. Their advanced technology and unique perspective contributed to the Confederacy's growth. The Accord of Harmony was celebrated as a testament to the power of understanding and reconciliation. The resolution of the conflict with the Spectres marked a new chapter in the history of the Confederacy. The galaxy emerged stronger and more united than ever. The principles of Zack and Varric continued to guide the Confederacy, reminding all that unity, empathy, and cooperation were the keys to overcoming any challenge. Talia, now recognized as one of the greatest leaders in the history of the Confederacy, continued to champion these values. She expanded the Unity Institute's mission, creating programs that fostered innovation, cultural exchange, and mutual respect among all civilizations. As the years passed, the galaxy continued to thrive. The Unity Institute stood as a beacon of hope and progress, its halls filled with the brightest minds from every corner of the galaxy. Statues of Zack and Varric watched over the Institute's gardens, symbols of the enduring legacy they had left behind. Their story, a tale of love, perseverance, and the unyielding pursuit of a better future, was told and retold, inspiring countless beings across the stars. Zack and Varric's dream of a united galaxy had become a reality, and their legacy would shine brightly for generations to come. In the night sky, the stars seemed to glow a little brighter, a reminder that even in the vastness of a universe, unity and hope could prevail. The galaxy was at peace, and the legacy of Zack and Varric, the heroes who had changed the course of history, would never be forgotten.